as we kick off with corn, and I know we have a lot of ground to cover, I want to pass the mic to Bill Tierney. Bill.
Thank you. In an attempt to get through all the important numbers, there are at least three news services out there that provide estimates of analyst estimates. They're all about the same. The average production estimate for corn is 14,053 million. So that is up 64 million bushels from the USDA's last production estimate. Our own firm, we're up a little bit higher. We think it's going to be up 91 million bushels, but I don't think that's a significant difference. The second major report coming out tomorrow will be the stocks report. In the last 10 years, corn stocks have been above and below expectations about half the time. So there's no real tendency to be biased one way or the other. However, on average, the difference between the stocks report and the average expectation is 2.2%. Now, that's 240 million bushels. So on average, the corn stocks number is 240 million bushels different. Now, we think it's going to be 240 million bushels larger than expectations. We are at the high end of the range of industry analyst expectations. On average, the industry thinks that December corn stocks will be up 2,747 million bushels. As I said, we are 250 million bushels above that. Some of the other reports that are coming out tomorrow that I think the market's going to pay some attention to is the final corn stocks estimate in the WASDE report. On average, the trade expects that corn stocks will be slightly higher than the USDA's December number. The average expectation is that I don't have that. We're a bit larger. We think the ending stocks is going to be about 131 million bushels larger still than the average trade estimate. So if we're correct about December stocks and if we're correct about the ending stocks number, it's probably going to be a bearish market response. Lastly, there'll be a South American crop production estimate that the market will be paying attention to, both Brazil and Argentina. There's no real fireworks expected there unless, of course, the USDA lowers their Argentine corn estimate. Their last one was 26 million metric tons. Some trade estimates are as low as 23. USDA's last estimate on Brazil corn was 70 million metric tons. There are trade analysts out there with 75 to 77 million metric tons. So it's possible we could see smaller Argentine corn, possibly larger Brazilian corn. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Bill. Next, I've asked Greg to cover off on soybeans.
Yes.
Greg?
Thank you. We have going to have the same slew of reports dealing with the corn, soybean, and wheat market, and the soybeans as well. So it's kind of a quartet of reports. I like to refer to it as the grain grand slam. It'll be market moving. The crop production, we're looking for, in the soybean market, the market trade expectations are for a slight uptick in total soybean production, roughly about 20 million bushels is the average trade guess. And that is largely driven by increase in yield. There's a very, very strong correlation between the USDA raising yields from September report to November and again into the final crop report. In fact, the odds are about 3 to 1 if you go back 20 years that will occur. So very strong correlation there. That's what we're looking at, larger yields for soybeans. That's what the trade's expecting, and increased production. Now, as far as the soybean December 1st grain stocks, we're looking at an average trade guess of 2.161 billion bushels. This is unlike the corn grain stocks report, doesn't have quite the powder keg aspect to it. So the focus, nonetheless, it is important. And I think it's interesting to note that versus last year, if the number comes in as the trade expects, stocks on December 1st for soybeans will be 200 million bushels higher than what they were at this juncture last year. Then we move on to what will our carryout be. The USDA was carrying a last number of 150 million bushel ending stock level for soybeans. The trade expectations is just a smidge below that, like 1 million bushels below that. And that's based on some strong export demand we've seen to date. And also, we're going to update the South American production estimates with the trade looking for substantial increases in Argentina as well as Brazilian soybean production. And given the good growing conditions down there, I think those trade expectations will be met. So that's what we have in summary for soybeans for the reports tomorrow.
Thank you, Greg. Terry, I know I've asked you to be the anchor today on wheat, and we have a wheat seedings, winter wheat seedings report to cover as well, so I'll kick that to you right now as well.
For wheat, one of the key numbers for the report will be the U.S. ending stocks number. Traders looking for about 557 million bushels. We were 575 million in the December USDA report. Pretty good range of estimates for the report, though, 460 to 586 million. The current number at 575 is a 5-year low in ending stocks. December 1st stocks for wheat expected about 1.4 billion bushels. That's 271 million bushels below a year ago. So we're going into the last part of the wheat season with relatively tight stocks compared with last year and the last several years. The issue has been that the wheat feeding has not been very sufficient. If September wheat feeding, before corn was really moving out onto the market, if September wheat feeding was still relatively high, you could end up with a number closer to 1.35 billion for this December stocks report than 1.4. That'd be a little bit friendly. World stock numbers not expected to change much, 182.6 million tons, just down slightly from last month's estimates. 6 years ago, for example, we were at 130 million tons, so world wheat stocks still sitting at a relatively high level. The plantings report, this will be the first look at 2014 crops, which are not covered for corn and beans, but are covered for wheat in this wheat plantings report. Traders looking for about 43.5 million acres. That'd be up 421,000 acres from a year ago, or about 1% increase from a year ago. The range, 42.5 to 44.6, so pretty decent range for a winter wheat number. High end of the range would be a 3.5% increase in acreage. So traders looking for a 1 to 3.5% increase has kind of been what the market's been looking at for quite some time here. Hard red at 30.45 is up 879,000 acres, and soft red down 494,000. So trade looking at a hard red increase. If there is a little bit of a risk that during the planting season in the fall that the central and northern parts of the winter wheat belt were a little bit dry. So if there is a surprise for the report, it might be a little bit bullish on the acreage number as well.